Hi everyone. Today I am going to implement Spring Boot application, theoretical as well as practical. Before we starting this Spring Boot application, we have to know these 5 steps. It can be very easy for us to create a Spring Boot application after knowing these 5 things. First thing, everyone should have Eclipse or IntelliJ, any one of this IDE to run the application. Okay, whatever implementation we have done in IntelliJ, that we need to check in Postman. So we need Postman also to test attribute values inside the Postman. To create a Spring Boot application, we need this URL to create a Spring Boot application. Then we can run in Eclipse. So we need to select the project name Maven type, language Java type, stable version 3.3. Why we are using 3.3, I can explain it later. Project name, based on your requirement you can change it also, there is no issue. And the packaging type, there are two types actually, jar and war files. Based on their project requirement they can use jar and wars. I can these things also I can explain it later. Java version, present I'm using Java version 17. We have 22 also, 21 we can use. 17 is a best practice. Dependencies, in my project I am using Spring Web and DevTools. Why these things are useful I can explain when I creating these things. Okay, next, after completion of selections, these 7 steps, it would generate a zip file. That particular zip file you have to extract the zip file, and the project file is ready. Then you can use uh, to open your project inside your IDE and start implementation. Okay, then we can go to the fifth step. These are the 5 comments are useful to run Spring Boot applications. First thing, we have to clear the Spring Boot application whenever we have done any dependencies you have added, any type of the code you have implemented. Please clean and start the Spring Boot run. Spring Boot run అనేది to start the SBA, use this command. Spring Boot application, use this command to start the Spring Boot application. Package, anyone need jar files, you can use these commands to it will generate a jar file. Okay, install command means it install all the jar files inside the project. Clear means whatever code we have written in Eclipse, that all code will be removed when we use this command to clear. And now we are moving forward to implementation part. So just I'm copying this URL. Now we can paste it in Chrome. We can search. Sorry, I have a network issue, so it was not open. Now it's fine. Now you can click on Spring Initializer. The template display like this. First, we have to select Maven. Then we can go for the language type Java. Then we can use as a 333 as a Spring Boot version type. A snapshot means it's under in developing mode, so we don't use. We want to use, we can use, but sometimes we can face some issues, so we can use a stable versions. So I am using group name com.omc demo.1, and then I am using as a package type jar, using as a Java version type 17, adding dependencies here. First one is a web, Spring Web. Next I'm adding as a dev tool, Spring Boot Dev 2. You can see now in Spring Boot web, when using this dependency, it includes the RESTful as well as Spring MVC. By default, it have inbuilt Apache Tomcat server also. We don't want to externally connect to that. When we implemented this dependency, that means we added to these dependencies to your project. It automatically is the Apache Tomcat server. Spring Boot Dev 2 provides the faster application restart, live reload, configuring for enhanced development experience. We don't want to restart our applications. When we using these dependencies in our project, it's automatically restart whenever we implemented the code. Now everything was looks fine. Next we can move it forward to generate. This folder I am saving inside the my disk. So I'm selecting and saving. Now you can see it's showing as a demo.zip. You can open this demo.zip and then open your zip file, double click on it. You can see extract all. You can click on it and then extract. Now you can see here when I clicking on it, you can see Maven, source, git ignore, help md, POMDOS, XML, everything the tool was generated. Okay. Now we have to open this file. Then you can move to your IntelliJ and then you can click on open, choose where you are stored your project. In this location my project was is there. So D drive the demo.1 folder, the project name is demo.1. You can select the pom.xml and then OK. Open as a project. Yeah, you can trust the project. Now you can see this is your this is our interface. So here I can try to implement few things. You can just follow each and every step. Then you can understand how a Spring Boot application is works. Okay. Here I am using few commands to run the Spring Boot application. Okay. So I'm clicking on Maven. After refreshing my Maven, you can see you can click on demo, go to the life cycle. Now you can see here clean. And you double click on clean command, we're getting the build success. It's everything fine now. Next you can compile the code. I already last time told you when you want to use jar files, you can use package. When you clicking on package, it will generate a jar files for us. Just I can show it to you also. It's showing as a red color in above. I don't want to run test files, but it was running in the background, so it was failed. remaining everything was fine. Now you can see jar file was generated. This is our jar files. Okay. This is our interface. When you clicking on source, within the source, here within the main, within the Java, this is our main application. You can see now public static void main within the string arguments within the main method spring boot dot using a run method to run the class. So one more thing we have here is the resources. Then the resources we have a statics, templates, application dot properties. Whatever front-end code we want to write, we can use inside the static folder. Application form properties for user for you want to connect with databases or you want to connect with any type of the images, you can use as application.properties లేదా application.yaml. Okay, next coming to the main part, do the pom.xml. Here you can see now you are using is Java version 70. When you are using is a 21 but you are created as a 17 project, you don't have to worry about that. You can change here, it will automatically download the 17 related version. Now you can see the dependencies. I'm using as a starter.web and then one more thing spring boot.2. Okay, these are the two dependencies we want to use in this project. Okay, this is a parent. This is a parent dependency. Okay, parent dependency. Whenever you are facing any issues or regarding the versions, you can have to use as a stable version as a parent. Using as a stable version, you won't get any issues. Okay, you have to remember the parent section. You have to use as a stable version. You don't have to use a Snapchat. You can use a stable 3.3.3 related version only. Okay, you want to run your Spring Boot application in source in main in Java we have an application. Within the application we have a green color button. Either you can see here run application.java. You can click on it to directly run your Java application, Spring Boot application here. Now you can see here started application using Java double to 0 point with particular ID. No active profile sets. Okay, no problem. Now you can see Tomcat initialized with the port number 8080 HTTP. It was started the Tomcat. We did not install any servers. By default in Spring Web, by inbuilt it have a Tomcat server. So it was run on 8080 port number. It's Apache Tomcat engine type. Now you can see started application the 4.0 second process is running. So here after starting the application, if you have to check that particular URL is working or not, you can use as a HTTP hypertext transfer protocol colon double says we are running our system on local right local host local host colon 8080 port number we are using and we are running. Then when clicking on it, now you can see white label error page was showing. Okay, there is no explicit mapping, so that's why it was showing like this. We have to do some implementation, then this page would be modified. In Spring Boot application, within resources we have a static. Within the static I am creating a new HTML file. Name is index.html. I am creating. Within the body I am using h1 tag. There is no need to write. yours. Just I'm using for bigger sentence purpose. I'm using H1. In the H1 tab, I'm writing this is my first project. Then you can go to Maven. Before you can stop the server, clean Maven. Then you get the build success. Go to the application, start the server. You did not get any errors. It's everything working fine. So first we have remember one thing. Whenever you run the Spring Boot application, first it checks in controller class. Either it can check the static. In static, we have written the index.html. Some content I have written here. This thing I have written. When I run the same port number, now you can see it's displaying this is my first project. Okay, that means when you run the project, input project, first it can check the static folder. Is there anything we have written inside the static folder that would be displayed on web? Okay, now we are moving forward to implement some methods. Okay, in this package, go to new, create package. Package name is controller. Okay, and then click on it. In the controller we have to create a class. Click on it, double tap, go to new, create a class. This is add controller. I have created a method as add controller. Within this method I have implement some basic method. Okay, you have to follow this like this. I'm using as static. I'm using as a return type as int. Okay, and then my method name is add two numbers. Parenthesis, curly braces, our return type. Now you can see we are facing error here. So our return type is int. So use as a return type should be the int. If not working properly, then here I'm using two values. Int a is equal to 10, int b is equal to 20, int c is equal to a plus b colon. Then I'm trying to return c value here. Now you can see error was gone. Why? You try to returning the int data. Two a and b values I was storing inside the c. I'm returning this c, so we don't face any issues. We want to this data in console. So the purpose I am using system.out.println. The println lo I'm writing I am start distorted the implementation, then can take this thing, copy, paste it here. Here you should have to change. Here I'm calling my input values, my input values I want to see in the console. So addition, you can use the a as a variable plus second input value addition, you can use as a b. This is my first input value. Okay, this is fine. Now what we have to do here, control V. What we are doing here, we are trying to adding two numbers. So sum of two numbers, directly you can call C. Okay, now what we have to do, again we have to clean the Spring Boot and you can rerun the application. When you can check, after running the application, port was running properly fine, but we did not get any console values here because, but we have written here, right? System.out.println, I am started the implementation. My first input value is equal to a is equal to 10, my second value is equal to b, and then finally sum of the two numbers of c value I am returning. But in console I did not return any values. Why? Because when we run the Spring Boot application, you should have, when you run the Spring Boot application, it will check the controller class. We did not using any control annotations here. So at the rate, this is the REST controller. This is the REST controller class. Then now you can run the project again. It won't display the value because when you try to implement some method, you have to specify the type, like get type or post put delete type. This should be the get mapping. Okay, you can use as a get mapping annotation within the parenthesis double slash. Okay, I am using slash. This is I am doing as add method. Okay, add method. Now you can see nothing will happen here. Now what we have to do right now? Everything looking fine. When we written REST control annotations after Spring Boot was running properly, it will looks for the REST controller class. It's in the, we have written in the REST annotations, that's when it will comes here. Then it can run the get mapping method. How it would be run, I can explain it right now. Now you can start the server application, clean the project. Now we're getting build success. When you clicking on the clean, close it, can run the application. Now you can see it was running fine. What should I have to do right now? Last time you was using HTTP colon. Last time this is a port we using. Now what we have done here recently in controller class, using as a get mapping, using as a add method, add to run this method, using get mapping to run. So I am here slash I am using as a add to, and clicking on it, it was displaying as a 30 value. You can go to the application. Now you can see I am started the implementation. My first input value is equal to 10, second input value is equal to 20. The sum of the value, sum of the numbers equal to 30. Now we can see what is happening here. It comes to the controller class, then it can check any get mapping is used or not. Okay, you should have to note down like this. When you want to run Spring Boot publication in web interface, you need to know HTTP colon double slash local host. Local host means your mission colon. Which port you are using? I am using 8080 port number. You have anything next you can use. Okay. Here I am using add method. Okay. This is a format you have to follow in COM interface to run your method. Till now we have done only few things. We are trying to executing the values inside the application. That is not the best use. So now I can implement one more class, and then you can use a postman. You can provide the values inside the postman, and then whatever value we are getting, those values need to be displayed inside the postman itself. Right? We don't want to display the data in our application. It is a bad use. Just I want to explain these things to your understand. Okay, now I am creating one more class. Before that I'm using as a one more package. Clicking on new package, using as a main class. I'm using as a class was not taken. Okay, Moodle. Moodle. In the model package I am creating one more new class. Class name is mm, add class. Okay, this class was created. So what we have to do, we have to test the data inside the postman. So I am creating as a variable private int a as a variable, next as a private int b, two variables. To access these two variables we have to need setters and getters. So clicking on it, double clicking on it, my laptop is little bit lagging, so just a minute. After writing the two variables I should have to create a getters getters and setters for these two variables into data type, and as well as a toString to return the addition value. So go ChatGPT, just I ask pasting the package and the variables, generate getters and setters and toString method, and then it was generated getters and setters. Those two things was copied here. So here we want, now we did few modification add class. Now we should have to add one more method inside the controller. This particular control method check the data inside the postman. So I am taking a above method, I copied and pasted here, and then method name was changed to two number values. Okay, get mapping type add new. Okay, here I don't want to print any, we don't want to print any values inside the console, so just I am removing everything. Now what should we have to do right now? In add to number values inside containing at the rate containing as a request body type request body, and that means in input type in the method I'm trying to call in the class instance. That means add class instance add class, and then here you're using as a add class, you can take add class instance. Here class instance is add class dot I want to set values, so set a value try to assigning integer. Next same take class instance dot set b provided 30 this time